Alright, so here's another Mama Monster Mama 1, 2, 3, 4 or more family original story. And I wanted to talk about family. So, my grandmas. I had two grandmas, both sweet, both short haired. And I had my Nana. She was born in Italy. And she had a beautiful living room all covered in plastic. She loved baby blue. She thought it was so classy. And she loved to cook and feed her family. And my grandmother, she was raised in Canada. She loved to do all sorts of hobbies. She sewed and she tried to cook. And she collected things like ceramic hands and all sorts of things. She loved little Scotty dogs. One thing I remember about my Italian grandma, my Nana, is that food was love and she couldn't let anyone go hungry. Whenever we would be there, she would hover around and make sure that everyone ate, and until she would finally get persuaded to sit down and eat her own meal. So you had to be careful. If you ate too slow, like? What I get you? What I get you something? Like? You eat too fast? Here, more for you. And she'd refill your plate. So you had to be very strategic. Don't eat too slow, or she'd try and get you something else. Eat too fast, and she'd fill your plate up. And she taught me about multi-course meals, because she would always make a soup, and she would make other food as well. Always so excited to feed her family. One memory I have was when she told my cousin, "You're wasting away. No meat. Why you no eat no meat? You're wasting away." And he said, "I'm fine, Nana." And he was clearly very overweight. He was definitely not wasting away. But she wanted to feed him because for her, to feed her family was how she showed her love. It's very traditional for that generation. So there's many things I remember about her. How they came from Italy, how she had a very heavy accent, and how she would feed us soup in little bowls with roses at the bottom. Just a little dish like this. And at that time, calling between states was very expensive. If you called outside of your county, if you called someone outside of your area code, the long distance charges would be very expensive. So she would try and keep the calls short, even though she and Grandpa both wanted to talk to us. She said, "You be a good girl? You be a good girl? Yeah, be a good girl. Go be good girl. Listen to your mother. You be a good boy? You be a good boy? Be a good boy. Okay, love you, bye-bye." And they would hurriedly hang out because they didn't want all of the many expensive charges from having a long phone call. Now, Monster Mama had a very special relationship with her grandmas, and I was actually supposed to be named for my two grandmas, but they started to get very heated, which is to say they started fighting about who would get the first name. So ultimately, Monster Mama was not named after either of them. I was named after neither. So, two sweet grandmamas. "Oh, I want the first name. Oh no, it should be named after me. Oh no, why I will no." And so I'm named after neither of them. And Daddy Cat was actually supposed to have his grandpa's name for his middle name. So he would have had his middle name from his grandpa, but his daddy fought with the grandpa. No, I not name my son for you. And so he wasn't named after his grandpa after all either. So we decided that our two monsters would have middle names that honor our grandparents that we weren't named after. Relationships are hard, but love wins. Do you have a story of your middle name? I think it's very fun when you have a family story. And it can be very fun when family names are different. A fun situation with my brother is that my mother wanted one of my brothers to have his own name, to be named after no one at all, to be unique. And so she named him after no one. And to her surprise, she got a letter from a distant relative who said, "Oh, I am so honored. You named your son for me. Oh, how lovely. Thank you." And my mom went, "Oh, I forgot about that relative. Oops." So names can be fun, whether it's trying to be unique, or you're honoring family, or something else. Names are part of who we are, and it is quite fun. Boop, 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 boop. Now, speaking of food being love, my other grandmother, right? My grandmother versus my Nana, she too believed food was love. But it was a little harder with her because while Nana was a wonderful cook who wanted to feed you to bursting, grandmother was not a good cook. She tried, bless her heart. "Grandma, I'm sorry, I don't like this. I don't want to eat it." And she would cry, "Why don't you love me?" And sometimes she would give us burned food. She once fed grandmother pureed hot dog, a little pile of hot dog. Sometimes it would be undercooked. Often it was just boiled with no seasoning at all. So she was not a particularly good cook, but it was full of love. And most of the time it was just fine. But if it was burned, yes, that was a bit much. But she had many crafting talents, just not cooking. She sewed every family member a stocking with their name that she did personally. We lost it quite sadly, but it was a lovely gesture. And she liked to sew, and she knitted, and she crocheted, and she did. She even did, I think, some lace work, embroidery. She did lots of things. She was a very, very enthusiastic crafter. So, food can be love, and sometimes pressuring food can be difficult. So sometimes love can be a little bit too much. But we love our family, and relationships are hard. But what matters is being with the people who love you and love and respect you. So remembering the parts where there's love, so you can be together. And, well, acknowledging there's other parts too sometimes. Nobody's perfect. And if somebody is doing what they can to take care of you and love you, well, then that's worthwhile. And if somebody's not taking care of you, not that any of these people would be a concern, well, you are worthy of love. You are worthy of respect. And there is nothing wrong in telling somebody that you deserve love and respect. Respect is respecting your boundaries and just who you are. Well, that's enough of that. I'm getting kind of preachy. Thank you so much for listening, and you have a wonderful day.